recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to mark a solemn anniversary, one that continues to weigh heavily on the hearts of Kansans and families across this great nation. It was a year ago today that Flight 5342 left Wichita, Kansas, en route to Washington, D.C. But as we all know, it never reached its destination. 67 lives were lost, amongst them 7 Kansans. And certainly families were changed forever. Today we pause to remember those lives and honor their memory, and to stand with the loved ones who carry this burden every day. Mr. President, Kansans grieve together. And when tragedy strikes, we don't do it alone. We lean on each other, we lean on our faith, and we lean on our communities. But today we just want to remember those who were lost. Remembering these were Kansans. They were sons and daughters, husbands and wives, parents, friends, and co-workers. And many were simply doing what so many of us do every day, traveling for work, for family, or to return home. The best way we can honor those we lost is by remembering them and learning from the tragedy. We've tried to ensure there was full accountability since this tragic accident. We tried our best to ensure complete transparency. And then take a look to the future to see what could we do for safety of future flights. And certainly we owe it to their families and to the memory of these loved ones to pursue these improvements and never forget why it matters. I recall a phone call early the next morning from the mayor of Wichita, Kansas, Mayor Lily Wu, and she asked me, and we have a good friendship. She said, "Roger, what can I tell the people of Wichita so that they know that it's safe to travel on this flight?" And she pointed out, this is the busiest runway in all of America. And she asked me, why was a military helicopter in that airspace? So I picked up the phone and I asked our Secretary of Transportation and our Secretary of Defense that same question. Why would a helicopter be in that airspace? And they, at that moment, or shortly minutes after that, they grounded any helicopters from being in that airspace. And then what did the Senate do? I'm so proud of what my colleagues have done. Senator Moran has helped lead the charge on that, and many others. But we passed the Rotor Act out of the Senate, which would implement common sense reforms to ensure a tragedy like this never happens again. And I would hope that our colleagues on the House side would also pass this bill and we can get it to the President's desk. So just in closing, Mr. President, here we are a year later, and we're here to remember, to honor, and try to figure out the best ways to move forward. But at the end of the day, we want the families of those back home to remember that we've not forgotten about their loved ones and that their lives did matter. And I think I'd be remiss not to express gratitude to the first responders that we met that night out in the frigid cold, sacrificing their lives, diving into the chilly waters in hopes of finding someone who they could save. So thanks to all of our first responders. And finally, of course, we pray that God would continue to comfort the families who lost their loved ones. Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield back.